Hello students and welcome to the class of Business Study. This is your 12th Business Study class. Myself Mrs. Hansa Pawar from New Catholic Mission School, Chabua. As you all know students that in the previous video we have finished 2 chapters of Business Study. Now 3rd chapter we have already started. Now this is part 2nd or second video of chapter 3rd, and your chapter 3rd is Business Environment. So in which we have covered certain topics. Now today in this video we are going to take these topics, that is dimension of business environment, and according to the syllabus or which has reduced by the NCERT or CBSE, which has reduced certain syllabus, that is 30%. So accordingly in this chapter, that is chapter 3rd, your few topics, one topic, that is impact of economic policies on liberalization, privatization related to globalizations. So this topic has been deleted actually, which is in chapter 3rd only. So we are not going to study that chapter. So according to that, this is your second video, and here we are going to finish chapter 3rd, that is business environment. This is all about chapter 3rd. In the next video we will meet again and we will start with chapter 4th. So today we are moving with this last topic of chapter 3rd, that is dimensions of business environment. When we say dimensions, means it can be related to various areas, phases, aspects related to business environment. These dimensions are actually influencing the business or any industry or any firm or company directly and indirectly. So there are various dimensions or components of business environment. It can be economical, social, legal, technological, and so on. So these 5 kinds of environment which are actually trying to influence the business or any economic activities. Sometimes they have a direct impact and sometimes they have an indirect impact over the business. So dimension of business environment means all factors. There are some factors, there are some forces or constraints and institution or organizations which have direct or indirect influence over the business transactions. Transactions means exchange of goods and services, or whatever transactions which are, or deal or agreement which are taken place as far as in business is in terms. So there are certain factors, there are certain forces, there are something which influence or institution which influence the business transaction, which affect the business transactions. Their effects can be direct or it can be indirect. So moving with the first kind of environment or first components of this business environment, it is economic environment. As the name suggests, when we say economic environment, it has a direct impact over the business. So when we say business, it is all concerned with some economic activities which are done to earn profit only. So of course this kind of environment has a direct impact over the business transaction. It can refers to all forces and factors which have immediate and direct impact. Economic environment consisted of GDP, that is gross domestic product, rate of interest, inflation rate, change in national income, and per capita income. When we say inflation, means it is constant rise in price because of some changes in national income or per capita income, profit earning rate, monetary policies of government, fiscal or financial policies of the government, price rate, that is price level, employment rate. So there can be etc. There can be many forces or factors related to economy which can affect your business transactions. Economic environment may offer opportunities. This economic environment is also providing certain opportunities or chances to a firm, or it may put constraint. That means it is having an good effects also and bad effect also. It can be advantageous for the business when it comes to catch or have some opportunities. So this economic environment is of course providing certain good impact and certain bad impact also. It is providing certain good opportunities or chances to the businessmen, and of course it is providing certain disadvantages. There are certain drawbacks related to this kind of factors which are influencing the business directly. Some important aspect of this economic environment are, it can be increase in GDP. That means if gross domestic product is increasing, it result in rise in disposable income. Now disposable income, this kind of income which is actually spent by the consumers in form of consumption expenditure. So disposable income, Dispose means when you spend or when you use that part of money for purchasing certain goods and services. So disposable income of the people will increase. Why? Because see, when GDP increase, production of goods and services will increase. There is more supply available in the market. There are variety and many kind of products which are available in the market. So what will happen now? People will have a chance to spend that amount of money in purchasing various goods and services which are available in the market in bulk, in large quantity. So disposable income of people will increase and further increase in demand for product, and because of that, demand for that product will also be going to increase because production is increased, disposable income will increase and demand for that product will also increase. Now this increase in GDP has a good effect, okay, for a businessman. High inflation rate set as constant. But when it comes to high inflation rate, that is prices which are constantly rising, it can put certain constraint, some pressure or force as they increase the cost of production. So because of high inflation rate, now for a businessman, it will be difficult for him to purchase raw materials, getting machineries, equipment, because inflation rate is increasing. Now because of that, the cost of production will also increase. Now it will be very expensive affair for a businessman to produce the goods and services. Decrease in interest rate. If the interest rate which is decided by government, if it is decreased, it is beneficial and increase demand for home loans. That means if the bank is reducing the interest rate over the loans, then it will be very easy for taking or availing the home loans, that is loans which is taken by the people or individual. Now it will be very easy. So what I said is some factors or some forces which have a better impact on the business in terms of economic environment, and some which have a bad forces or some which have a bad influence over the business, okay, or transactions. It can be international debt also. When a nation or a country is collecting certain or taking or acquiring certain debt from international or from foreign countries, it can increase the burden on the nation. Okay, so there are certain other factors also can be related to economic environment which have a bad influence also and a good influence also. Now second is social environment. As the name suggests, something which is related to society, that is our culture, customs, traditions, our nationality, languages, various other things, okay, our beliefs and values, okay. So it includes various social forces such as customs, beliefs, literacy rate also of any country, educational level of our country, standard of living, our taste and preferences, etc. It can be many other things which can changes in social environment affect an organization in the long run. These are some of the factors which influence, that is social environment, which influence the business transaction, but it influence it in long run, not in short run, okay. Now long run and short run means a long period of time this kind of society's belief, cultures, tradition is going to affect the business. For example, when we are celebrating, there are many festivals, okay, happening in India. So it can be celebration of Deepavali, Eid, Christmas, Guru Parv, or many other festivals. So during this festival, what we notice is there is an increase in demand, sudden increase in demand for sweets, decoration items, can we say clothing, etc. So there are many things which are required in a large quantity during these festive season. So what it does, that these, because of social customs, our festivals, our beliefs and values, because of this, or tradition, because of this there is a high rise in demand or increase in sale of many other things which are required during this. Nowadays people are paying more attention. This is the second example. And now we can see that people are paying more attention towards their health. That means people are now health conscious. So because of that, in market there is more and more supply of mineral water, diet, food and many other things which are required to become healthy. So because of that, people are becoming more and more health conscious, so their demand increases for such kind of food items or such kind of things which are required to keep you or make you fit and healthy. It can be mineral water, it can be diet food, organic foods and so on. It has increased while demand of fatty foods, those foods which are rich in fats, these kind of fatty foods, their demand has suddenly decreased, okay. Now this was about social environment. Some common factors of social environment can be that demand for other than festivals, other than culture and tradition. It can be demand for reservations in jobs for minority group and women's. This is also one of the part of social environment by which the business transaction is going to affect. Demand for automatic machines and luxury items in the middle class family. Suddenly there is a high rise in demand by the middle class family because of the demand for automatic machines, okay, like you can have a washing machines and so many other things which are automatically run, and some luxurious goods or luxurious items. So demand for those goods suddenly increase. The social movement educate the girl child. That means there are certain social movements which are happening or which are implemented by the government, certain policies, certain movements just to educate the girl child. Change in quality of life and attitude of customer. Then there is a certain change in the standard of living of the people. Nowadays people demand more of luxurious goods. Their standard of living, because of it raises the attitude of customers towards innovations has suddenly increased. When we say innovations means new kind or new variety of products which are more in demand in the market. Increase in demand of electronic gadgets. Even the demand for electronic gadgets has increased. There is a shift from informal to formal wear. That means people used to wear more of formal wearing or formal clothes instead of informal. Presence of women in workforce. That means more and more women are nowadays working, okay, working women. So there is a shift of food habit also towards the packed food. More and more people are requiring or demanding for packed foods, instant food which we can say, like you have Maggi and so on, okay. Now third is political environment. When we say political environment, it is somewhat related to the administrative system, the kind of government, the political party which is running the whole government or making policies, framing policies, rules and regulations. So it is actually very much affected by the political parties or political government, that is business transactions. So the environment which constitute all the factors related to government affairs, such as type of government in power, that means which kind of government is in power, attitude of government towards various groups, then what is the kind of attitude towards various groups of society, changes in policies implemented by different government. That means there are various governments come, okay, various political parties comes who are in power. So they are always trying to make certain changes in the policies, framing the policies, the rules and regulations. So every now and then when there are certain changes, it has certain effect or influence over the business. The political environment has immediate and great impact, and we can say that the political party or the political government has a greater impact on the business according to what kind of policies they are making, and political stability builds confidence among business community, while political instability and bad laws may bring uncertainty in business. That means if the political party is doing good for the business, for the traders, then it has a good effect. But this political party, if it is not making proper policies, not framing better policies which are profitable for the businessman, then it must have, or bad laws, it can have a bad influence over the business also. The businessman must scan this environment. For this, to avoid all this, the businessman must scan or examine the situation according to the change in the political party which is in power. So he must change himself or his scenario of the business according to the change in the political parties. He must carefully examine the environment and has to make changes according to the changing factor of the political environment. The common factors which have influenced this political environment are Indian political environment. It can be Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. You all know that this particular policy or this particular things were started by the government. It is one of the initiation which was started by the BJP government, that is Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. It can be Skill India movement which is started again by government, constitution of our country, foreign policy of a government, and there are so many other things which are framed by certain political parties which is in power, which is handling the whole government affairs. So there are certain things, certain policies, certain movements, okay, which are framed by certain government. It has a bad or it can have a good impact over the business transaction. Then fourth is legal environment. When we say legal means it is something lawful, related to law. The management of every business enterprise has to obey the law of land. That means if you are continuing with a business, if you started a business, you must first seek the registration. That means your business must be legal. You must have obtained certain license for continuing your business. So there are many things. Whatever business you are doing in a particular country, you must seek or collect permission from the certain government. That is, the business must be lawful and legal. So every businessman or business enterprise has to obey the law of land. It constitutes the law and various legislations. Various legislations are there passed in the parliament. It can be like Trade Act, Trademark Act, Essential Commodities Act, Weights and Measurement Act. Every business enterprise, etc. Every business enterprise must have adequate knowledge. That means each and every businessman must have proper and adequate knowledge which is required by him to continue his business. So he must have good knowledge of all the rules and regulations which are framed by government of that particular country. So he can obey those rules and regulations and can continue his business smoothly. To work successfully in India, the business enterprise must have detail about the Companies Act 1956. That means if any businessman who is continuing his business in India, he must have all these knowledge related to the Companies Act 1956, Industrial Act 1951, Trade Union Act 1926, Consumer Protection Act 1986 and so on. So there are various legislation which are passed in the parliament. Okay. So according to that, the business enterprise must behave properly, must fulfill all the needs or requirement which are laid by law, and must obey the rules and regulation of the government as per law. There are some aspects of this environment. It can be administrative orders which are issued by government authorities. So he must fulfill all the orders. He must be prepared himself to fulfill all the orders which are given by or laid down by administrative system. Legal policies related to licensing and foreign trade. As I said, that he must seek or collect the license when he is engaged in foreign trade. Okay. For domestic trade, of course, in some nature kind of business, he must have obtained certain license. But when it comes to foreign trade, he must take permission or seek permission from the government authorities for continuing the business. That means he must obtain the license. Laws to keep check on advertisement. There are certain laws to keep checking or control over the advertisement. That means if the advertisement is good, then it is okay. If the advertisement is somewhat bad, it is not giving a proper message to the society, it should be banned. So there are certain laws to have a control over what kind of advertisement is being shown. Statutory warnings to be printed on various products. That means some kind of products which are injurious to our health. Okay, it can be tobacco, it can be cigarette, it can be wine, it can be so many other things. So it is demanded or required for a businessman that he must put a label over that particular product, that if you are using this product, it may cause harm to your health, it may be injurious to health. Like on the packet of cigarette, those businessmen who are engaged in producing or making this particular product, it must have a statutory warning that cigarette smoking is injurious to health. So which is required by the legal environment. Now last is technological environment. When we say technological, means it is something related to technology. Technology we have discussed so far, that it can be labor intensive technique or it can be capital intensive technique. Now here technique means the method of producing the goods and services. And why we require to concentrate on technological environment? Just because the technology is trying to help to make that product of better quality. That means because of using better kind of technology, your product can have a better or superior quality more than your competitors. So it refers to changes taking place in the scientific improvement, innovation. Scientific improvements mean whatever kind of scientific improvements are taking place, discoveries are taking place. It is responsibility of a businessman to acquire those things just to have a good product or good commodities. It can be innovations. Innovation means having some new methods or new techniques in terms of use of new method of production. It can be use of modern equipments, machines which they are using in the factory or in the manufacturing sector, which will improve, finally which will improve the quality of the products. That means by using a better technique, by adopting a better methods, it can be in terms of machinery, it can be in terms of equipment, it can be in terms of raw material, whatever. Okay, so adopting a better method of production, you can actually improve the quality of product. So a businessman must closely monitor the technological changes which are taking place in the industries. As a wise businessman or entrepreneur, he must try to see or try to monitor or supervise whatever technological changes which are taken place in the industries, in the market, and accordingly he must adapt those changes. Like if there is a new machinery for producing certain goods, he must use that machinery, he must purchase that machinery, and according to that machinery or by using that machinery he can produce those goods. Then the quality of the goods will be improved, it will be more demanded by the customer in the market, his supply and his sale will increase, and it will bring maximum benefit or profit to him. As it help in facing the competition, that means if he is adopting a better technique, it will help him in facing the competition, not in domestic trade or domestic country, but worldwide. He can face the competition and improve the quality of the product. For example, digital watches nowadays we can see in place of traditional kind of watches, now there are more demand of digital watches, and artificial fabrics in place of cotton and silk fabrics. That means the demand of artificial or synthetic fabrics has increased and it has replaced the cotton and silk fabrics. It can be online booking of your railway tickets, air tickets. If you wanted to watch a movie, going to theatre, you can book it online through internet. Online sale of grocery items, like you have Big Basket and so many other things. Development of IT sector, shift from typewriter to word processor. Okay, so there can be many shift or there can be many replacement of the old to the new. That means the old techniques, old methods which we are ignoring, which we are replacing it with the new one, innovative one. Okay, some new. Now this was all about technological environment, and here now it's time to wind up the class. As I said that here we have finished chapter 3rd, because one topic in this particular chapter is been deleted by CBSE boards. So we are not going to study that because it will not come in your final exams. Okay. So till then, goodbye and meeting in the next video and starting chapter 4, that is planning. Thank you.